This is Kyle from TrueStory.fm. I'm going to tell you two things about myself. One, I love making podcasts. And two, I hate commercials. And yet, here I am caught between those two opposing forces. I'm sure you've noticed, but the world is getting more expensive. And that goes for the nuts and bolts of making podcasts, too. Equipment, server fees, website hosting, it's costing more and more to do the thing I love. Which brings me to you. By becoming a member, you can help us keep making cool stuff. $5 a month gets you access to your own private feed full of early access, ad-free shows, plus exclusive stuff just for our insiders. That's less than the cost of a Happy Meal at McDonald's. Plus, no commercials. I don't want to be saying this any more than you want to be hearing it, so a quick way to shut me up would be to clickety-clack those keys over to truestory.fm/join and find out how you can help us out. Now, go do something nice for yourself.
Before we dive in, here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
In a world where podcasts are a dime a dozen, one show dares to stand out from the rest.
The Film Board, a podcast unafraid to tell it like it is.
We're here for one reason and one reason only. Downloads.
That's right. We review new release movies because that's what gets people's attention.
But just because we're in it for the clicks doesn't mean we don't take our job seriously.
We're part of the Next Reel family of film podcasts, and we're proud of it.
Our reviews are just as insightful and thought-provoking as any of our other film podcasts.
It's just that this podcast is all about that sweet, sweet SEO.
The nectar squoze from the tree of Bing.
We're only human, but we're also creators.
And creators eat clicks to survive.
So if you want honest, unfiltered opinions on the very latest movies right on opening weekend,
delivered with the self-awareness of a team looking for downloads,
then tune in to the Film Board.
Where every download counts, but yours counts the most.
Do you like movies?
Do you like sports?
I never played that sport on the screen, but I really enjoyed how the movie made me feel.
Well then, have we got a show for you. The Adrian Moment is where my friend Ocean and I discuss the triangulation of sports, movies, and life.
We dive deep into the movies, discussing how they relate to and have affected our lives.
We will talk about why the sport matters to the movie, why you don't have to love the sport to enjoy the movie, and mine a few nuggets of meaning inside the story you may not have realized was really there.
After listening to our show, come join us for more conversations about the movies that portray the thrill of victory
and the agony of defeat.
Find the Adrian Moment podcast on your favorite podcast app and join us while we cover the sports you love and the ones you never think about.
You will never see sports or sport movies the same again.
Ox Hare presents, in association with True Story FM, the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society. Today's adventure, The Scars I Have Ignored. Part 1.
It was a dark and stormy night.
It's colder than a witch's tit out.
Well, that's a funny old expression, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Well, all the witch's tits I've ever touched were warm. Hot, even.
When did you...
I lived a life before I met you. Now drop the firewood over yonder and warm yourself up.
Oh, that's loads better.
Didn't know if I'd get to see you tonight. Guess he let you off your leash.
Don't start.
All right. I am happy to see you, though. I'm just missing the way things were.
It is that time of the year, I suppose. Where's the girl?
In the last load of supplies was a new load of books. Where do you think she is?
Her life was a series of ups and downs, which were both comic and pathetic.
Aster, there you are.
Iris, you found me!
Well, this is quite the cozy book nook you've made for yourself.
I didn't use any of the bedding from the guest rooms, I promise. These are all the damaged ones. They couldn't do the work they were made for, so I gave them a new job.
Very industrious of you. What are you reading?
It's called Little Women, but I don't know why. All of them are normal sized.
That's not why it's called that.
I know. I'm only teasing.
Clever kid. What do you think of it so far?
I really like it.
I'm surprised. Most of your reading time is filled with those lurid, pulpy tales of adventure. This definitely isn't that.
No, but it's nice. It's got a lot of ladies in it, and none of them need to be rescued. Can I ask you something?
Of course.
What is it like to have sisters?
I'm sorry to say I don't know. My parents only had one child, and you're looking at her.
What about Miss Dench?
If I remember right, she had 2 brothers.
I'll ask her then.
Yes, but tread carefully.
Why?
I don't think they're with us anymore.
They were never with us.
No, I mean, I don't think they're alive anymore.
Oh.
So she might not want to talk about them. Just ask nicely.
I will. Do you think I have any siblings?
I don't know.
That's one of the things I don't like about being an orphan. The not knowing.
I don't like that word, orphan. We don't know if it's true. You, my dear, are a foundling.
And you found me.
We found each other. Have you and Miss Dench been getting along? Since I've been around less, I mean.
Oh, yes. She's grumpy, but I think it's just a kind of suit she puts on. Like armor, but against people.
That's very well noticed.
She's even letting me help in the kitchen.
Quite a high honor.
She let me cut the head off a chicken.
She what?
It ran around for a bit afterwards. It was very funny.
I don't know if I like that.
Well, there's one way to put a stop to it, and that's for you to be here and put your foot down. It's only sensible.
All right, I hear you. Now put in your bookmark and come downstairs. We've got preparations to make.
Are they here?
Not yet, but we need to be ready for when they are. Come along, little woman. Not quite right.
There you are, Aster. You have the water?
Fresh from the well.
And you filled up the milk saucer on the porch for the Fae folk?
Of course.
You and your superstitions.
Aster, have you seen even one otherworldly beastie creeping around the grounds?
Not a one.
Exactly. And for that, you are welcome.
There. That looks just about right.
How many times are you going to rearrange that furniture?
I just want things to be
Don't say it.
In an ideal state.
Well, that sounds like a fancy way of saying perfect. Aster, why don't we like that word?
Because perfect is the enemy of good.
Exactly right.
Can you tell me about her again?
How many times do you need to hear this?
At least once more, it seems.
Fine. You fold the laundry, and I'll tell you the story. Again.
Deal.
Saffron and I met in college.
When you got in a fight.
It wasn't a fight. It was a disagreement about a translation of Aristotle. At first, I didn't like her.
You should always trust your first impression.
No, you shouldn't. Because if I hadn't given her a chance, I would have missed out on a great friendship.
You're telling the story out of order.
You're right, I am. The first thing I noticed about Saffron was her hair. It was this shade of blonde I've never seen before, almost golden. But she kept it up in this tight bun so much her face would pull up like this. I kept thinking, what a waste of great hair. When we had a project together and officially met, we didn't get along. Saffron was tightly wound.
What does that mean?
How do I explain this? You remember that cuckoo clock we had?
The one Miss Dench dropped?
I didn't drop it. I was cleaning the mantle when that daft bird leapt from the wall.
Of course it did. But you remember when it hit the floor and all the parts came flying out?
And the spring bounced everywhere.
Right. That's how she seemed. Like she was a clenched fist. It seemed like everyone and everything annoyed her. We became, I guess the best term for it is rivals? We competed for grades, for extracurriculars. We even faced off in fencing. I still have a scar right here on my forearm from her. See it?
I do. Does it hurt?
Now, no. Then, yes. But it was my pride that she really hurt. It seemed like Saffron was excellent at everything and always just a little bit better than me.
Sounds annoying.
I suppose so, but she wasn't cruel about it. You can't judge a star for shining. It's what they do. Where was I?
And then you got into the play.
That's right. I had a small part in As You Like It. I only had a few lines, so I spent most of my time watching the audience. That's when I spotted her.
The girl with the golden hair.
Yes, but she had it covered up. Kept the hood of her cloak up the whole time. It was odd to see Saffron there, as she never said anything about appreciating art. Ever.
But she kept coming back.
That's right. I kept seeing her in the crowd again and again. When you meet her, you'll understand. She's hard to miss. But she was always in the back with her hood up.
So you ambushed her.
Not exactly. I ducked out of the curtain call early and managed to find her before she got too far from the theater.
And you gave her a scolding.
No, but that's what she expected. Saffron looked at me like I'd just caught her cheating on a test.
But it was just a play.
That's exactly what I said. I invited her to come with the cast to the restaurant next door, and she agreed. That's when she explained.
About her mean mom.
Her parents always looked down on the theater and said that it was low art. And since they were paying for her education...
She could hardly afford to disagree with them.
But she started sneaking out to see in action what she'd only read. That woman knew every word of the show, but had never seen it performed. That night, she gushed over all of the actors, telling them her favorite parts of their performances.
And they loved her.
Praise an actor, you'll have them following you around like a lonely dog.
It wasn't that. It was her sincerity. She wasn't just being polite. She had that look.
She was starstruck.
Exactly. We talked all through the night and then walked back to campus together. And that's when I noticed it, there in the moonlight.
Noticed what?
Someone's finally paying attention. What did I notice, Aster?
Her hair. She'd taken it down, and it cascaded in golden waves down her shoulders.
I don't remember describing it like that.
You didn't. I'm embellishing.
Yes, you are. We're standing there in the night. She's still talking about the play when
You kissed her!
Miss Dench, don't interrupt!
I'm sorry, I got wrapped up in the story.
I did. It was nice for a moment, but then she pulled back in shock. I realized I'd messed up. I had misread the moment.
Oh no.
Don't worry, Miss Dench. There's a happy ending coming.
She apologized. Then I apologized, and after all that apologizing, we just ran off. And that should have been that.
But the next night of the play...
There she was again. And this time, she waited at the stage door for me. We chalked the encounter up to high spirits after a show, and after that, we became great friends. Inseparable.
But you're separable now.
That's the good and the bad side of school. On the one hand, you're stuck with the same people for years. On the other hand, once you don't have those walls keeping you together, people start to drift apart.
That's sad.
That's the way of the world, child. It's the same with jobs. You have someone at your elbow, a sous chef that you can't imagine cooking without. And one day they move on. They just aren't there anymore. As you get older, it gets harder and harder to keep people close.
But sometimes, just sometimes, what you thought was them flying away was actually just an orbit, and they're about to make their return, like the rising of the moon.
The party has arrived.
You must be Zinnia.
Without a doubt, which makes you Iris Lockwood. My first question, what are your feelings on hugs?
I'm for them?
Excellent. Apologies for the damp, but it could not be avoided. Now, it is my great honor to say for the very first time, here is my amazing wife, Saffron.
My, you are in high spirits tonight.
Why shouldn't I be? I'm finally married to the most amazing woman in the world, and our honeymoon can finally properly begin.
I'd apologize for her, but what would be the point? She's a force of nature. Iris, it's been far too long since I've seen you.
You too. Since we're doing introductions, this is our head of household, Miss Harmonta Dench.
Please call me Minta. And may I say, Mesdames, c'est un plaisir de vous avoir ici.
Tu parles très bien le français.
Merci. J'ai étudié au cordon bleu.
Oh, in that case, I am doubly excited for the meals ahead.
Let me see your bags and get the driver paid and out of the wet.
We're so happy to have you staying with us.
Iris, before I forget, I have something for you.
You don't have to. You kissed me. Why?
Repayment of a debt. I broke our kiss that night long ago. But you were right about me then, about how I felt, who I was, and that moment. It just took me a long time to figure it all out.
Saffron, you didn't have to. I didn't need. You've done so much since. My heart is so full right now. I just. Thank you. And welcome to Arden's Eves.
Wow!
Ah, yes. Before anything else, Saffron, allow me to introduce you to Aster.
Aster, what a lovely name. I'm Saffron.
You are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen in my whole life.
Oh my, what a sweet thing to say. Thank you, Aster.
I may have told her some stories about you in anticipation of your arrival.
Aster, would you help me to do something special?
Anything.
I'd like you to be the first person for this. Ahem. Aster, may I introduce you to my wife, Zinnia?
Very pleased to meet you, Aster.
You are the next most beautiful woman I've ever met.
You are so sweet. And in this, we agree. In this contest, I'm very content with second place. I tell you what, why don't you sit with me by the fire? You can tell me everything about yourself while we gaze lovingly at Saffron.
Yes, please, I would like that very much.
As you can see, I have my own force of nature.
She's your...
ward, I guess you'd say. We found each other in a storm some years back. Never found her parents or anyone to claim her. It's been the three of us ever since.
So you and Minta are...
No, she's another lost soul I picked up along the way. We were both at a low point and held hands in the dark. The things that woman can do with the simplest of ingredients. During the season, this place is packed to the rafters every night.
That's so wonderful to hear.
Which is why it was so strange that you decided to book during the coldest, wettest time of the year.
Don't look at me. This was all her idea.
Really?
Yes, it is all part of my devilish plan.
Is it true that you own this place?
Not exactly.
She's been more interested in the story of how we met than in what happened afterwards.
I'm ready to listen now.
After my parents died, I found myself with more than I ever expected. And that included pieces of land all over the world.
Like this one?
Exactly. This was an ancestral something or other from some branch of the family, but I discovered it had a large manor on it that was both unoccupied and intact. And I thought of Iris.
Why?
She's always had a habit of taking in strays, myself included. She'd always wanted to own her own place, an inn, a hostel, a place for people to gather, a way station for the weary.
But instead, I got stuck managing a hotel for rich snobs, each with an endless list of complaints. And Minta was cooking for the same ones, people who hated food but loved how much it cost. Mutual woes.
So you sold her this house?
No.
No.
One thing you should know about my blushing bride, she loves giving gifts. Loves it. There's Père Noël at the top, then Saffron.
You gave Iris this house?
Actually, she gave me the whole tract of land. Acres of it.
You did?
I did. I figured if your inn took off, you'd need room to grow.
And we have. We've added a smokehouse, multiple cabins, the nicest of which we have set up for you two.
I did the bedding.
And I'm sure it looks wonderful. I can't wait to see it.
Minta wants to add a sauna, but I don't think we'll be able to get the locals to understand it. More good news on that front.
What's that?
Currently, you have the place to yourselves. Let me tell you about the deluxe honeymoon package we've put together for you.
Please do.
We'll show you to your cabin shortly. It's got its own fireplace and indoor plumbing, which can be rare around here. The deck faces east, and the view of the sunrise can be quite amazing.
If the mist clears.
Also true. It's quite sturdy, with thick walls to keep out the elements. It's a walk, so it's well out of earshot of the main house in case you might, I don't know, decide to yell for tea to be delivered. None of us will be able to hear you.
Understood.
And appreciated.
Minta has a full menu planned for the week you're with us. You aren't required to eat every meal here, but she'd just like to know when you'll be around so she can plan accordingly.
And the food is...
to die for. She's read your recommendations.
Our recommendations?
I may have sent along a list of your favorite foods when I planned this with Iris.
You are spoiling me.
That is part of my plan, yes.
You met Sean during your wagon ride over. He's one farm over and available to take you anywhere you'd like to go.
Wonderful. However, I was confused. Was Sean the name of the horse or the driver?
Both, actually, and yes, it has led to some bizarre conversations. Minta and Aster live upstairs, but down here, the lounge, the dining room, the library, they're all yours to use as you please.
Iris, it's all so lovely, so cozy.
We want to make your honeymoon as wonderful as possible.
What do you do on a honeymoon?
Oh, well...
I'll cover this one.
Are you sure? She's, well, young.
I am aware. Aster, you've read about weddings, yes?
Oh, yes. Oftentimes they're interrupted by bloodthirsty suitors looking for revenge.
Where did you hear that?
From a book.
I definitely want to borrow that one.
Regardless, a wedding is a way of standing in front of the community and saying, this is the person I wish to spend my remaining days with. They are mine as I am theirs. It is a public demonstration. Do you understand?
I understand.
A honeymoon is a way of removing ourselves from the family, the loved ones, the outside world, and focusing entirely on the other person. It is when you two begin to create the things that you will call us.
That's nice.
Plus, you get to eat whatever you want, sleep as late as you want, and read anything you want. And no one gets to tell you what to do. You get to be with your favorite person and have fun.
I want a honeymoon. Was that what yours was like, Iris?
Iris? What is she talking about?
I'm sorry. I hadn't gotten around to telling you. I'm not Iris Lockwood anymore. I'm Iris Henders. I'm married.
Congratulations. I feel so out of touch. You never even mentioned having a special someone in your letters.
Yes, it all happened rather quickly.
Such is the way when passion overtakes you, eh?
Something like that.
The good news is your bags have all made it safely to your cabin.
And the bad news?
A skunk followed me home.
Oh, she's so funny. We're not laughing. No one is laughing, you hag.
Oh, Gerald. We were just talking about you.
I'll bet you were. I'll just bet you were.
I can see you're in a mood. Why don't we just get you home? We can meet our guest another time.
Home. That's a good idea. Our home. The one we share. The one you abandoned. I woke up and you were gone. No food on the table, nothing in the oven.
I can make you something.
It's too late. I already found my dinner.
We have paying guests, Gerald. Let's not have a scene.
Oh, I see. My ladies, let me practice my curtsy.
Minta, could you help me pick him up?
I'm fine. I can do it myself. Where were you?
I told you we have visitors. I had to make sure the inn was ready for them.
You know, they made a mess while you were gone.
What are you talking about?
They made a mess in our back door because you weren't there to stop them.
You were there.
I was asleep. And some vagrant comes and paints a 7 on my back door.
What did you say?
Big as life. Red paint. Is that how many lovers you've had? How many times you've cheated on me?
That's enough of that.
I agree.
Stumble back the way you came.
Or you leave with a few less teeth.
Oh, I like you.
Likewise.
Iris, let's go.
Saffron, I'm so sorry.
You have nothing to apologize for.
I'm so grateful for everything you've given me, that you did for me. You'll never understand what it meant.
We'll have time to talk about all that, all this, later. We've only just arrived.
Yes, of course. And Zinnia, I'm so glad I had a chance to meet you.
Oh my, what a hug. I'm looking forward to getting to know you better.
Aster?
I know. It's past my bedtime.
Oh, yes, I suppose it is. I wanted to tell you. You're a good girl. And you're very special to me.
Iris? Not in front of Saffron?
You do what Minta says. She's in charge while I'm gone.
Yeah, I know.
Good night, Aster.
Ugh, you got spit on my forehead.
Good night. I'm sorry. Goodbye.
What was that?
Oh, you mean the bane of my existence?
I hate him.
Now, Aster, what have I told you? We don't say such things. While he's still within earshot, I think we're good. I hate him too.
Her and him? Oh, I have barely met them and I don't see it.
It was more of a marriage of convenience that became inconvenient.
What does that mean?
I'm sorry, I shouldn't gossip. It's not my tale to tell. Aster, be a good girl and walk these nice ladies to their cabin.
Do they have to go?
Well, they've been traveling all day. I'm sure they're looking forward to laying down. I've put hooded torches down, but the way can still be confusing. Be their guide.
Fine.
Thank you, Minta. One last request. Aster, I was hoping Saffron and I could have breakfast with you tomorrow morning. Would that be acceptable?
I shall have to consult my social calendar, but it should be fine.
I'm so pleased you're able to give us some of your time, sweet lady. Good night.
This place is every bit as comforting as she promised. It's positively toasty in here.
Only the best for my wife. It still sounds so strange coming out of my mouth. My wife.
We don't have to use that term if you don't like it. We are modern women, after all.
No, I like it, especially when I hear it from you. I expect I'll get used to it.
They are quite a trio, aren't they?
Not at all what I expected to find, but all lovely.
Oh, speaking of expectations, you've been quite cagey about this whole plan. It's time to put some cards on the table. Why here? Why now?
Fine. Then it's time to open our wedding present. If you'd be so kind.
It's a map.
That it is, custom made just for us. We are here. The town is there, but I want you to direct your eyes to this spot.
Marked by a Celtic cross.
After a recent mudslide, they have discovered the remnants of an ancient church.
How old? 14th century? 13th?
The 6th.
What?
Apologies. The sixth. English loves this sound.
A 6th century church. That's got to be one of the first ones.
We will be joining the archaeological team to help them search for relics.
This is so exciting. Wait, you hate this history stuff. And clomping around in the mud and in the rain?
True, but I know how much you love it. Plus, I have alternating motives.
I believe you mean ulterior. And what would those be?
Seeing your friend? Good for you. Getting your hands dirty with history? Also good for you.
This is supposed to be for us. Is there nothing here for you?
Have you?
I mean, something fun for you to do.
I have you.
You know that's not what I mean.
I do, if time permits. There may perhaps be a notorious pirate in this area who has evaded capture. Should we have some free time, perhaps we could do a bit of community service.
I believe that could be arranged. But surely this could have waited for spring.
You're assuming I could wait for spring. But being here this time of year, romping around in the wet and the cold, means you'll be more likely to snuggle up where it's warm.
And you know a warm place I can rest my head?
In fact, I do. And this place, wow, lovely, is very isolated. Which means if someone was feeling a bit uninhibited, there's no one around to judge them for anything they might do, any sounds they might make, any experiments they might conduct.
I'm starting to see the devilish part of your plan.
Is it working?
Very much so. So much so that it's time for you to open one of your gifts.
Could that be done later?
Trust me, you'll like this one.
I have little doubt. Very nice. This is a menu. I'm not interested in food right now.
I'm going to need you to look a little closer. Zinnia, you've been very patient with me in not going farther than I was comfortable with going.
But we still went pretty far away.
We did. But now that we're behind the barrier that my upbringing built in my mind, all bets are off. We're in the wildlands now.
I like the sound of this.
And while I'm not ready for everything, I'm ready for many things. I made a list, but that seemed too dull. So instead, I created a menu.
Hors d'oeuvre, main course, dessert. You're willing to sample all of these delights?
If it's on the menu, it's on the table, so to speak.
This is so many choices. Number 17. I've never even tried.
I suppose that means you'll have to keep returning to try out different combinations. And the nights are quite long here. What can I start you out with?
I believe I'd like to start with hors d'oeuvre number 3.
An excellent choice. I should warn you, that one is served hot.
Oh, then I suppose we should start cooking.
To be continued.